Hello, my name is Judith Mendoza. I am again um, here, but today I am here as a human behavior educator. I concentrate on gaining knowledge through research in regards to human behavior and how our behavior affects us personally, but then others, other humans. And so my name is Judith Mendoza. On Instagram, I am under Healthy, Beautiful, Me and You. And on Twitter, I am under Insightful Info. And on YouTube, I am under a psychological note as Judith Mendoza. And today I will be speaking about a topic that has to do with us humans. And of course, we can all agree that life is valuable and precious, right? When we feel good and well, when we are healthy, we feel that we want to live and go on and on with living. And so we can agree that we humans should value life and should consider it precious. And so today I have chosen the topic of human free will versus human rights. What were you inside the womb? And I will be considering the health risks that can come about from uh, from abortion, but abortion actually has a beginning. So we humans tend to concentrate on uh, on on getting rid of something that we consider a problem, but in reality uh, is actually a consequence of a decision that humans have made. And either they have thought about it or not, the consequence can result. And so I will be considering then the health risks, uh, mental and physical risks, and disorders or illnesses, and a combination of both that can come about or result from abortion. And excuse my doggy, Snoopy, who is coughing in the background. And so um, I will be considering also in regards to the statement that I have made previously when I have written certain articles that you can find in LinkedIn. And my statement has been that at conception, our each individual identity, which includes inherited everything from talents to disorders or illnesses that we will do and become later on in life. And so basically the articles that I have written are concentrating on autism. And so, and the reason why is because, of course, autism is something that I am familiar with, having someone close to me who has autism. And so basically, every topic that I speak about and teach about, educate about, has also a correlation with autism and how those with autism are affected also. And so, of course, this one presentation is not going to be different than the ones that I have done. And so today I will be concentrating on this. I will also post videos, as I like to do, in regards to the procedure of abortion, because it is easy to talk about it, but seeing the actual procedure of abortion, it really can make one think in reference to what's going on. And we, or people, right, not me, but people usually have the the thinking, right, the thinking in regards to in regards to what a baby is inside of the womb, right? So somehow we want to assimilate these things uh, with maybe a human life being as if it's not a human life. And so we want to think about it in that way, but the truth is that it is not. And I have the basis for it. And I have said that at conception, when the egg of the woman unites with the sperm, basically the sperm goes into action, right? So this is biology 101, right? I learned that in high school. When I was in high school, I was educated in regards to sexual health. And back then, what they did is that you were educated in actual sexual health and how we are formed, our genders are formed, and how having sexual relations will lead to one becoming pregnant, and then also what goes on when uh, when one becomes pregnant, the process of it, that life inside of the womb. And so that was the education that I had in high school in regards to biology and how the body functions in regards to using our genitals to have sexual relations. And basically our genitals are there for the only purpose to reproduce other humans, right? And or produce other humans. And so, well, what is abortion? Well, abortion can be, is the action, and let me read it exactly from what it says over here, the information, so I can use the same wording. And so the definition of abortion is abortion is the expulsion of an embryo or a fetus that is not normally able to live outside the womb. This can be spontaneous, right? That it happens, it's unwanted, it happens spontaneous, and it's not planned for it to happen. And so then also it can be that is called a miscarriage when that happens, right? So basically, the woman does not want to have this miscarriage or abortion, and it's not deliberate. Now, there is abortion that is deliberate and is induced abortion simply to avoid the birth of an unwanted child. And so there is where these procedures can take place, and it can be treated as a medical procedure, as when a human has a malign tumor or a growth inside the body, or as we know in the case of uterine fibroids. And so I asked the question when I began this presentation, and I said, well, can we all agree that life is valuable and precious? So what were you inside of the womb? Were you something similar to a fibroid growing inside around the lining of the womb of your mother? Or were you a human being? So we know that back then, right? Because I have heard the mentioning of the 9th and 14th Amendments of the Constitution, which, by the way, this Constitution of the United States, which is based on going around in the same pattern of the Magna Carta, which it was done by, or it was created as a royal charter of rights agreed to by King John of England at Runnymede near Windsor on June 15th, 1215, due to the different conflicts and problems that they were going through. So as people started to realize, well, we can have rules and regulations instead of having conflicts, problems, and wars, right? So basically, we know that the United States were part of England territory. There were the 13 colonies, which became the United States, and so therefore they created their own type of Magna Carta. And so basically these were something that humans had decided to do according to our own conscience, that is our own judicial systems that we have inside of us, our own legal systems that basically it is govern. We govern ourselves in regards to what is good and what is bad, and our conscience tells us these things. Basically, our consciences being created through our parents that have instilled in each one of us the different thinkings and beliefs, and therefore we make decisions out of these, right? So these also apply to communities, to groups of people, and so therefore the 9th and 14th amendments of the Constitution, which it does not relate to the Bible. It does not relate, the Constitution does not relate to the Bible. It relates to human beings making their own decisions of what is right and what is wrong, and basing themselves, going back and forth, basing themselves in these things that they have said to be uh, correct, to be just, and so imperfect human beings, right? 1866, the at least the 14th Amendment over here was introduced and passed by Congress in June 13th, 1866. And then for the ninth, that one, I believe it was instituted in a little bit earlier than this. And so, yes, the Ninth Amendment was added on 1791, and then on 1786, on 1866, it was the 14th Amendment, and the Constitution of USA, it was instituted in 1786. And so, well, why that is important? Because sometimes we can have the kind of, we want to relate the two, but they're not relatable, and so therefore the Constitution can say one thing because it is actually made up from imperfect human beings according to their own thinking of what is right and what is wrong, and then also using these in courts of law to defend different cases, which I have heard that there is the case that resulted from, it is called Roe versus Wade, and Wade was a 1971 through 1973 landmark decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. The court ruled that a state law banned abortions was unconstitutional, and the ruling made abortion legal in many circumstances. And so this is based from what imperfect humans had come up with in regards to this matter. So we know the legal part of it, right? Now, we value life. We have a whole system, which is the medical, the scientific, in order to protect life. But when after birth, so what is it before it? Is it a fibroid that needs to be removed from the woman's womb? Is it some kind of outgrowth that it is supposed to be removed from someone's body? So what is it? Well, when you look at the information that is there in regards to the act of conception or conceiving, or when that child is being formed, because it is a child. And so who gets involved? Who is the person? Is the father? Is it the mother? Is it both of them who get involved inside the womb in order for them to actually, after the sperm enters into that egg and there is that conception, who makes this process be? Is it humans? Who gives the command to the sperm of men to actually travel inside of the vagina once the sperm has been deposited inside of the woman's vagina and travel seeking for the egg. Who do this process? Is it written already? Isn't it the same as, if you think about it, isn't it the same thing of a man seeking a woman, that it is reproduced, the action is reproduced through that sperm, that the man, a male man, a biological person who was born with a penis, can produce sperm, and basically that sperm goes inside the vagina seeking for that egg that the woman releases every month. And we're speaking about the just one egg now, the one individual egg, not about twins, not about any other topic. And so think about it. Think about that process. Now, after that sperm goes into the egg, fertilizes the egg, there is also a process where that sperm protects the egg so that it cannot be another sperm cannot go into that same egg. It gets protected. So who's doing this? Who's doing this type of work? Because we say that a baby is not a baby until it is born. Well, those who say that, I don't. So the process of creating a human is from the beginning, before conception, if you think about it. So it is written in our genes. It is written in our DNA for it to do this, in order to reproduce life. And so in the case of Roe versus Wade, which we humans like to use information that it has become old information, because basically the information back then in 1971 through 1973 that existed in regards to biology and other sciences that explain human nature, human structure, human functionality. We didn't know much 48 years ago. We didn't know as much as we know now. The information that we have now in this old case that people like to refer to, because they like to refer to it as some case that has some kind of basis for something that happens in regards to women and the choices that they do, but in reality it's also men, because we concentrate on the woman, but actually the pregnancy will not occur if there's no sperm. If there is no sperm, there will be no baby. So who's at fault then? Who's more responsible then? Because if men are not having sex with women, they don't get pregnant. So now, of course, maybe I have mentioned before in regards to using the word Planned Parenthood. And for me, that means that parents will get together, um, planning parenthood. That will, because if you're not having a child, then you're not a parent. If you want abortion, then you will not become a parent. So this word contradicts the purpose, right? So Planned Parenthood should be parents actually planning for the family that they want to have, being educated in regards to how to raise a child, what pregnancy from the beginning, what it will take. And this is something that was taught in high school when I was in high school. One could see the implications of becoming pregnant. And of course, that meant that one will make the decision at one point of having sexual relations with some other individual. So it will also, and what I gather, besides, of course, that, as I said, consciences are formed by the parents who help their children to understand the realities of life, the responsibilities that they have as humans in communities, in their homes and in communities. And for me, my parents taught me that if I got pregnant, it's because I had a relationship with someone that will take care of me and my baby, and I will have a place to live, and I will be married to that person. So my parents made very, very clear to me that if I became pregnant, then I also will have had these other things before getting pregnant, and not just going to get pregnant because I am bored, or because I am lonely, or because I just wanted to be promiscuous and be having sexual relationships with um, with boys, right? And so then uh, Planned Parenthood should be Planned Parenthood, that parents are actually planning for all of it that having a baby will cause in the relationship, will cause financially, will cause is a long-term responsibility, and it's not something that you can return, and it takes two to make the baby and to raise the baby, and there should be balance found in there, of course, because um, the father who is stronger uh, is the basis of that, but then the mother who is more lenient, more into feelings and emotions, will help the child learn how to balance this because of having the both of the parents. And of course, when there is a missing of these, lacking a parent for whatever reason in the relationship, right? Having a father only in as a parent, or having a mother only as a parent, we know statistics tell us all the many things that can result from that because it's unbalanced. And so going now into the mental and physical trauma that can cause, abortion can cause. And of course, I am not speaking in regards to miscarriages or spontaneous abortions that happen, which can also cause much trauma and emotional pain to the human, to the woman that is going through the loss of uh, her baby. And so I am concentrating um, in the type of abortions that are due to that being pregnant. It is uh, an unwanted child that the person does not want to uh, deal with, because that person didn't think that becoming pregnant will or having sexual relations will make that person become pregnant. And I will also get into the reasons why um, some women decide to get pregnant and then resent it. And so, of course, um, the married and unmarried person, human, woman, uh, adult, and teenagers, adolescents, can become pregnant, right? Because we know that as soon as we go through the process in adolescence, that when our hormones are all out in order to continue to outgrow our bodies and give um, even growth to our reproductive genitals, then we know how that feels, right? I mean, uh, when we are adults and we are in the world with other humans, and we see it all the time. It's like people don't have feelings down there. They pretend to, right? So we see the world uh, changing and becoming more promiscuous, and we're like, well, it is put in a way as if we don't have no feelings for that, right? We don't want to talk about sex. We don't want to talk about uh, becoming attracted to other humans. We don't want to talk about those matters, but those matters are happening. And so, of course, uh, the adults and teenagers who are getting pregnant, they have different reasons for this, for seeking pregnancies. And for teenagers, in my time, when I was in high school, there was next to the school that there was a school for pregnant female teenagers. And basically, the reasoning behind the pregnancies that were going on back then, in the 1990s, it was that the same reason that you may hear that it is now, because human behavior continues to be the same. And so it was that the girls were into relationships with older men, and becoming pregnant for the reason that, of course, they don't use contraceptives, right? And the most secure um, way or form to actually have sexual relations is to be married, to be legally bound to another person. Why? Because we're legal. We are legal entities in ourselves. Legal entities, when it comes to groups, when it comes to organizations, are formed by humans. Every day we have to deal with things that have to do with legal matters. And so it should be a a legal thing that we actually can think about and say, well, I am going to have relations with this person because these sexual relations are actual actions that I am doing and that can result in some kind of legal cases. As we know, what can result is, for example, the types of requirements that men should have or and have in regards to having a child and then abandoning that child. And so then there comes the legal term child support, in order for that man to support that child that he has abandoned. And typically is actually men paying this child support, and it goes on to that person becomes a legal adult at the age of 18. So we're saying these things, we're living these things, but we're not capturing in our minds because we don't have a lawyer kind of tending to us and telling us, well, you know, you should deal with this matter in this way and in that matter in the other way. But actually, the actions that we do have that legal weight in it that we should consider. Now, these are things that should be taught in schools, right? Not only in regards to the use of our bodies and the consequences of it, including legal consequences of it, but they should be also in other situations where we can make decisions, we can take actions that later on we'll visualize them as the legal matters that they are. And so, in regards to the mental and physical trauma, right, as you may know, I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses also. And so, when it comes to that, I have been put in a place where you can get to know people's experiences in regards to what they have gone through in regards to the matter of abortion. And of course, this leads to that topic that I am bringing about in regards to, and that's what I want to build that presentation in regards to human free will, the free will that we have to do whatever we desire to do, and of course, with its consequences, right? But then also versus human rights, which is establishing when a baby is a baby, when a child is a child, when a life is a life. And basically, I have mentioned a different points that we can take into consideration. And so, when it comes to the fetal development, the stages of growth, within the 24 hours after the fertilization, the egg will continue to make now the process of making that baby, right? So forming it, the egg will be formed. The egg will be formed due to the sperm that has first fertilized it. So when it comes to that, right, what were you then inside of the womb? That egg has been fertilized by sperm, and the sperm went in and fertilized the egg. So there's a process already going on, and that started of its own inside the womb of the woman, which served as a residence for that baby that will come about, that will be formed. So every month, this is already prepared. Every month, the woman goes through the reproductive cycle and having menstrual periods. And so what is it? Well, every month, to put it simply, every month, a woman womb prepares the body and the womb, lining it with blood around the lining of the womb, and that will serve as the baby's residence, the baby's home, the baby's housing. That lining of blood prepares every month for years until the woman is unable to reproduce eggs. Every month, every year, for many years, that cycle will go on. Why? Because in case there is the conception of a baby. And so every month, the body of the woman will go through that process. If there's no baby, then there will be menstruation. And of course, there are some isolated cases where the norm is not the norm, but there are only a few women, and there's reasonings, medical reasonings as to why that happens. I am talking about the normal process that a woman will go through. And so there is no baby, that housing, that blood lining around the uterus comes out and is called menstruation. And then the process goes back again every month. And so what can lead then women to wanting to become pregnant? Well, for women, because we go through this process, there is certain time where one desires to have a baby, right? So there is periods of time in our life that does not, it doesn't go on forever. And basically it has to do with that cycle. The body goes into the first time that we have our menstruation. We women, every month, we are feeling aroused. Every woman goes through that process. And so it is not as men who are always ready, right? Men are always ready in regards to sexual relations. Women are not. And so what has happened nowadays in our time, and I have seen this change coming about, is that women want to be as men in regards to sexual relations and all of that. But for us women, there is a space of time every month where we can feel sexy, we can feel attractive, we can feel aroused, we can feel that we want to be sexually active, and basically that is the period of time before the menstruation. Because why that happens is because naturally we're going through the cycle where that egg is going to be released. And so that egg being released, then it releases the hormones in all of it that activate it, because it is the time that one feels aroused, and it is the time that if the person have sexual relations, sex is the one action that will make one to become pregnant, right? We all know that. Because I hear people saying, well, women don't know when they're pregnant. How can you not know when you had sex last week with someone? I mean, do you remember you had sex a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Well, that's how you got pregnant. So, um, if even if the woman is using contraceptives, and maybe if the woman is not using contraceptives in the way that it should be, the woman can become pregnant. And we know that condoms are not 100% also a protection. So the best protection is not to have sex if you don't want babies, right? And so we can make that decision. And so what I have found in regards to the personal experiences of others that I have come to know is that there can be failed relationships, right? The woman and the man, they feel, well, maybe not the man so much. The man maybe is just there for the sex, and the woman is there also for the sex, but there is the thing where one can get attached, and there is those natural feelings that we go through, where every month our body gets prepared for this cycle where one feels aroused and feel that we want sexual activity with the person that we're with, and basically this can result pregnancy can result and then be unwanted because of failed relationships. And well, so the thing is that resentment toward that man, hate toward that man, can lead to feeling, well, I don't want this baby. I don't want this. I don't want this relationship. I don't want this man. I don't want this baby. And so basically, that is the part where it has been established that, well, okay, you don't want this baby. We don't call it a baby. We're going to call it something else so that you don't feel that bad when this is going on. But in reality, the process of life begins, as I said, at conception. So psychological disorders can also come about because of this process, because well, there are some humans, right, that maybe that they don't feel too emotional in regards to matters, in regards to attaching themselves, because as I mentioned, if there is a failed relationship, then of course then the attachment of wanting a baby will be if you have that person in your life that got you pregnant. But if you feel that you were someone who was just used for sex, and you and that person were not in the same level in regards to this, then of course there are these types of situations where this can be happening. In men, of course, more than in women, we have the lack of self-control. There is selfishness, and even when it comes to having the action of having sex with the person, of course, if the person is married and is in a marriage relationship, and the man and the woman have planned together, because sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes the woman wants to have a baby and the man don't want to have a baby, but the woman gets her way anyway by doing whatever she knows how to do or what to do in order to get pregnant. And then after she's pregnant, then of course it will be like, oh well, what are we gonna do now but to have the baby? And of course that will strain the relationship later on, because the two persons were not in agreement into having a baby. So lack of self-control and selfishness, of course, it can be seen more in men, as I mentioned, and in regards to the action of having the sexual activity, it can come that the men don't want to use contraceptive, right? And it's the analogy from the man, the using of emotions to make a woman do what he uh, wants her to do. And basically it will be, well, if you love me, then you will let me come inside of you and not wear any protection. And of course there is a lot of competition nowadays in the world, because basically humans have become like little animals, little rabbits, that are competing for who's going to have sex with whom. And this is something that also is advertised in the movies that we see, in the well, I try not to see those type of movies that have sex in it, because I don't want to see anyone having sex, right? Why? That is gross. And so then uh, we have on TV, these things are advertised like that. In order for you to fight for your man, then you have to give it all, and if you become pregnant, then there's abortion. And basically, that is the same theme, that is the same type of knowledge that we want to pass on to those who are teenagers, adolescents. Well, we can't stop them having sex, which they are saying to teenagers. Back then, in my time, they will give you the education in regards to what sex was, and what having a baby was, and what being in a relationship was, and sex makes babies. And so, but nowadays, the thing is that they are getting uh, condoms. The boys get condoms, the girls also, if they want to. And so what they're saying is, well, have sex. That is what society is telling young children, young adults, because even in middle school, there is sexual activity now, and all types of sexual activity. And you can see these also by the way that one will dress, right? I mean, I mentioned in regards to the matter of people thinking or people acting and behaving as sex. What sex? I don't I don't get that. I don't do that. I don't feel that. We pretend, or people pretend that um, they want to be somehow they want to claim that education that they receive in colleges or universities actually stop them um, from behaving in a sexual way. So we're other humans. And so therefore we have all these scandals later on that come about in the news. Well, this man has sex with that woman, and that woman has sex with that man, and this all these sex things are going on, and it's like, oh my, how that happened? Well, you know how it happened, because you go through it also, and having the those sexual desires are natural desires. And basically, that is why there is the marriage institution, which is a legal institution where one can satisfy those feelings. And of course, the marriage institution is the place where the two humans can procreate and have another human. And that will be great if they do, because meaning that that baby will have a place where he can have all that he needs or she needs. And so this is this matter in regards to sex, because we want to think about, well, pregnant and abortion. No, let's concentrate on the part of sex, which is what makes the babies, and um, and then concentrate on the responsibilities when it comes to young adults. They're some of them, they're even surprised that they got pregnant, and a lot of them are following those in the entertainment fields, are dressing as them, are provoking, because they are provoking one another, each other, and that's what they're doing. But of course, the female human is seen more being provocative, showing their body, the physical body, their sexual organs, sexual parts that can arouse the ones in the opposite sex. And basically, again, this has to do with all these competitions that men have created, because nowadays it's like, if the person is in a relationship, they don't want to break up, and if they break up, the first thing they're thinking is, well, if I don't make up with him tonight, tomorrow he'll be with someone else, having sex with someone else. Basically, that is the thinking, that is the tendency, and that is what happens too, because men, if they break up today with the woman that they're with, and basically, of course, those who have the tendency of having sex before getting married, and so for men, it could be that yeah, well, we broke up today, so the next thing he's going to do is call up in the list of that he has to see who's ready to have this relationship with him. And so basically that creates that that fear of in women in regards to if I don't do this, then he'll leave me. If I don't do this, then if I don't go back to him, then he'll have sex with someone else. And so then we see that there are concentrating not on the getting pregnant and the abortion, but concentrating in what leads to these things, right? And it is having sex and having sex when one is not ready for it, is not an adult, is not under that marriage secure relationship that one can actually give in of oneself. And if there is something in the relationship, then there are legal procedures that can be taken in regards to it. And so that leads to one feeling psychologically better, because usually those who engage in promiscuous activities, which is tendency a lot in teenagers, in adolescents, starting in middle school, and maybe even younger. And so, what is being promiscuous? Well, the word promiscuous means to be characterized by many transient sexual relationships, and so that will lead to not being chaste or having a loose conduct, being immoral, uh, and uh, and basically, if even if we want it or not, our actions speak for ourselves, right? So we may not even use our mouth to speak, but the actions that we do will actually cause reactions that others will speak about. And so, as I mentioned, men more than women are looking out for uh, self-satisfying, selfish relationships that basically are not meant for them to make a family, become a family. Basically, now in society is the custom of having transient relationships, sexual relationships that one can end up with different partners in the in our lifetime. Of course, this can bring sexual consequences to our mental and physical body. But now, going to the more causes in regards to the abortion, and according to the Eastern Journal of Medicine, is an updated article. It is a study also, and so in there it is mentioned that they have studied the results of psychological consequences experienced by women after the termination of the baby, um, and um, that is that what it says there in regards to the post-abortion syndrome. Maybe you know about it, maybe you don't, but post-abortion syndrome, or PAS, it occurs after an abortion and can be experienced by women, right? In the article says both by men and women, but we know that biologically men cannot get pregnant. So a woman that has surgically made herself to have a penis instead of a vagina is not a man. Uh, it is a woman that can get pregnant, still a woman. That the body is a female woman from our head to our toes. So it's not just the genitals, right? So there is this type of PTSD, right, that results. And I was reading, and okay, I was reading some information in the okay. I was reading the information, and I have, if you want to take a look at it, on jag.journalagent and that is the Eastern Journal of Medicine in regards to psychological effects of abortion. But beside the psychological effects that come about because we are humans who have the capacity to have a conscience to decide what's right and what's wrong, which has been uh, basically created by who has raised us, right? So our parents, uh, those who have been raised by both parents, we know that our parents have teach us certain types of beliefs, certain type of laws, and so we establish what is good and what is bad according to these things. And of course, if you're following the patterns, um, and I follow the spiritual patterns that are found in the Bible, then for each person it's going to be different, but in any way or any manner, it could be that one is instructed in some type of spiritual way, which we also have the capacity to become as spiritual beings. So in the Journal of Eastern Journal of Medicine, the introduction, it said abortion is perceived as a traumatic experience affecting an individual in contact with the healthcare service. So apart from the medical complications, more and more attention is being paid to the psychological consequences associated with abortion, which sometimes can occur time after the procedure. Termination of pregnancy for medical reasons is a complex decision which may lead to long-term complications, both for the woman and for the whole family. The results of studies on psychological consequences experienced by women after termination are inconclusive because, of course, you can judge by just a group of a small group. But for what I have seen in my own personal life, those who have had the abortion do go through complicated emotions. It is very difficult for them to the persons that I have come in contact with. There have been reasons from having abortions because they don't have the money to provide for that human conception, and so they don't want to add another family member because they are lacking in money. So they terminate the life of that baby that has been conceived because they cannot afford it. Then there's also the failed relationships, as I mentioned, that I have encountered women having failed relationships and becoming resentful and terminating the life of that conceived baby because of that. There are also the of course, I will mention briefly in regards to those in the rape situation, but again, there are different situations that will put one in that type of situation, and um, and again, that is why my title is based on human free will versus human rights. Because if the life of this conceived baby is a life, The woman, yes, went through a crime, but that resulted in a pregnancy. It is not a whole lot. All these women that are having abortions are not raped. They made the decision that they wanted to have sex. So basically, okay, there is that part that we have in regards to someone being raped, but then that baby has the right to live. So that's something to think about. And so that will mean that then the laws that protect human life will protect the life of that conceived human inside that woman. And so besides the psychological consequences of deciding to undergo an abortion, we know that there have been the medical complications from the procedure. And sometimes it says over here, there can be loss of fertility, and because of the procedure. So the woman who gets an abortion then later on may not be able to get pregnant again and form a family as she wants to, because her womb somehow got damaged and cannot become pregnant. And so many women feel, or women who have experienced termination due to fetal defects report signs of post-traumatic stress disorder even 2 to 7 years after the procedure has occurred. And so the woman will go through some type of physical, emotional, and psychological distress because of this. That started with relationships, transient sexual relationships. So what should we be focusing on is the sexual relation with that other human. If we want to get into humans' decisions, then we should educate, sexual education, directed to those especially who are young, because many of those teenagers, which their governors in each city, the government is telling them, well, go have sex, just be safe. Here's the condom. How can it be? How can it be that humans have gotten to that point? And then when you see them going to school, they're not prepared for education mentally. They're prepared for hanging out with others at school and having sex, because if they have sex safely among teenagers, it's okay. That is what they're being told. And they're being told to do it because they're giving them the tools that they need to have sex. And so therefore, then all of these result. And look at your statistics, what they say in regards to who's getting pregnant and why. Now, the other article is by pcchandler.com, and is Pregnancy Care Center. So this center has posted an article that speaks in regards to post-abortion syndrome. And as I was mentioning, that's the PSA, post-abortion syndrome, occurs after an abortion and can be experienced by women, and symptoms are similar to those in any post-traumatic stress disorder and may involve psychological, emotional, physical, and spiritual distress, right? As I was mentioning. And so, of course, the physical part is that the woman can feel pain, pain for some time, and as the other article mentioned, the woman can lose the ability to have more children. Also, the person can bleed because of that procedure. And then it mentions, the article continues, it says post-abortion stress syndrome is a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, and affects everyone involved. Making the decision to have an abortion and then the procedure itself is at its core traumatic. And also don't forget where it began, right? Because it takes two to make a baby. And so then men as well as women should be educated in this matter, and also young adults. Now, in regards to it says many women who just want to be unpregnant, they want the situation to go away, right? So the relationship is over, and so they want to end up this thing that happened from the relationship, this human that happened from the relationship. And so they will try to forget, ignore, or deny the pain that may result from this. Now, some symptoms may appear immediately after an abortion and some much later. Many women don't relate the distress they are going through to the abortion, but at some point, memories will surface and will no longer be able to deny its cause. And basically, if this happened at a young age where a person is inexperienced, don't understand her own feelings and emotions, and don't understand in regards to responsibilities and decisions that the person may have made, then of course, as that person gets older and understands responsibility, or have been able to procreate other children, then that person will have feelings of guilt, which can lead to depression, which can lead to PTSD. And of course, not all women will experience the same symptoms and even at the same time. Nor it is likely that one woman will experience all of the symptoms. If, however, that person has experienced at least two of the following symptoms, that person may be experiencing post-abortion syndrome. And some of the symptoms I will mention over here is of post-abortion syndrome, which is part of post-traumatic syndrome, a post-traumatic stress disorder. And so guilt, right? The person feels guilty. The woman is genetically designed to protect their children. So that basic instinct is short-circuited by the abortion. So that conceived human inside the body of the woman has his or her own individual identity that it begins at conception, but the woman who's carrying this baby inside of her has been designed not only to protect her children, but also to have emotions and feelings attached in regards to motherhood. And so it becomes short circuit by abortion. Often when bad events happen in the future, the guilt she feels will cause her to believe that she deserves whatever badness. It says she deserves them, I don't know, the guilty feelings, I guess. And so I'm reading from the article that is from Pregnancy Care Center. And so continuing, the symptoms, so it's guilt, it can be anxiety, it can be avoiding children or pregnant women, it can be feeling numb, maybe deliberately shutting down their emotions in order to avoid painful thoughts. They may stop seeing friends and even family members, especially if they are a reminder of the abortion. And they could turn to drugs or alcohol dependency to numb out the hurt that they're feeling. And so there can be suicidal thoughts, right? Thinking of suicide. Anniversary reminders also that may bring these thoughts of actions that that person has done. Reliving the abortion, reliving the actions of going to the abortion clinic and having the procedure done and how a person felt at that time, and then going back with how the person feels now after the abortion, and especially if they want to have a healthy relationship with a partner, and then they find it, and so then they can have these types of feelings also of resentment. Inability to bond with other children, present and future. Eating disorders also are part of the PSA syndrome. Anorexia and bulimia are common eating disorders for women. Alcohol and drug use. And so, of course, all of us, in regards to matters when it comes to spiritual matters, right? Because we all have the capacity to become spiritual humans, beings, then we can turn to that, to the Bible, to spiritual guidance that is found in the Bible in order for us to do that. But today I am not concentrating on the spiritual aspect, because I am dealing with this presentation in regards to education on the matter of human free will versus human rights, which will be human free will from the point of view of the mother, and then also human rights from the point of view of the unborn conceived human that is inside of that body. So what were you inside of the womb? You were a conceived human. I will be adding, as I mentioned, the videos in regards to the abortion, so we can see what it looks like from 2 weeks of the baby being inside of the mother, inside of the woman, inside of the body of the woman who is pregnant. And so the concentration not should be on the the consequence of this, right? The concentration should be on educating humans, especially young adults who are in middle school and high school, to know uh, what the social relations that have sex in it can lead to, and to know the responsibilities that we have as humans for self, and also with others, among others. Because no parent, no parent want her child to come home and say, Dad, Mom, I need to tell you something. And then you find out that your 13-year-old, your 14-year-old, your 17-year-old is pregnant and don't know what to do about it, because that person conscious in regards to the use of her sexual organs, uh, reproductive organs, right? Because that's the only reason, right? Imagine we didn't have sexual organs. Imagine we humans did not have sexual organs. Will we need them? Will we need our sexual organs in order to live? Well, we know the answer. When we get old, they stop functioning. These organs that we have, they stop functioning. The only thing that's left is the person and having company with each other, talking about things, and basically that's it. So our sexual organs are for the reason of reproduction, reproducing other humans. Human life begin at the moment when the woman and the man decide that they're going to have sex, and the sperm travels, look for that egg, and then fertilizes it, and so there comes a human that has been conceived. And so that is the information that I had today in regards to um, seeing this from the healthcare side, seeing this from the our care that we should have also, including self-care. This is part of self-care, deciding when to have sexual relations and with whom. Uh, all these things are of a personal matter, yes, but then we need guidance in it, because we're not born learned, right? We're born ready to know, ready to be become of things, of experiencing things. But if we have guidance in matters uh, that can relate to these things, then of course we will be making better decisions, because we will know how our body is being affected personally and for the future also, right? And so look into these things that I have mentioned over here, and then also when it comes to providing financially for women who decide to get pregnant. We know that governments also like to do that, not just hand out the condoms or other type of preventing birth contraceptives, right? But the government also um, also seems in a way like to reward the women that get pregnant. And of course, they're looking out for the baby, they're looking out for the woman health, and it should be that way, right? But then that also has made it a way for, well, you know, the government wants us to have sex, we want babies, they want babies, and so some people do take advantage of that, and then that is the way of living, having babies, because that is the way to get financially attention, and so that they consider that they don't have to do much in order for them to get this financial help that can help them live. And so basically, it's not that we don't want babies, right? But we look around in the condition around the world, and we want babies that have parents that care for them, that can take care of them, that are not bringing children to the world to suffer and to be in, because if they are not born, if there's no conception, if the baby's not born, then the baby's not born. It doesn't exist. But if the baby's born, then are you bringing your child to suffer? That will be like that child is already giving a life sentence of suffering. And so we should want to avoid that, and instead have families in communities that are strong families, that want their babies, that want to raise their babies in a healthy way, in that can provide the support that they will need. Because just having both parents in the family raising that one baby or those babies that they decide to have, it is a means of security for that baby to become an adult that will feel happy to be living on this earth, right? And so I thank you for having joined me today in this presentation. And so in regards to my secular work, I work with holistic health and in healthcare, knowing what affects us humans, especially the behavior, because basically that's what we use to make decisions. And so I concentrate on that. I bring also autism awareness in these situations, and we have to take that into consideration too, because of course many of these pregnancies are also related to those who have autism, and um, and so helping them, right, helping the young ones who lack experience in these things, I think it will be doing great for them and their futures, and respecting human life, right? Because we can all agree that life is valuable and precious. But why is it valuable and precious? And do the young ones value even their own life, right? So that is something also to take care, that the psychological state of the young ones is well established. And so I concentrate on that. I also concentrate on nutrition health, and also in regards to our physical health, also the things that will help us live healthier. And of course, if we feel good, then we look good, we enjoy life, we want to do good, right? So thank you for joining me today, and later on, of course, I will be bringing other subjects. I have not been doing this, but I will be bringing other subjects relating to matters that are current, that are happening at the time. Like, for example, I saw that the issue of abortion is going on. So I just wanted to bring in my thoughts and my opinion and my knowledge in regards to the matter. So thank you for joining me today, and have a wonderful night and day if you are in the other beautiful day if you are on the other side of the world. All right. So thank you and goodbye.